Kristi Overton Johnson, and I want to welcome you to today's Victorious Living podcast. Today, I want to share with you a special interview that was done recently with my good friend, Parker Byrd. Parker was interviewed in our magazine about a year ago, sharing his tremendous story of overcoming a boating accident where he lost his legs. And after that accident, it would have been so easy to think that his life was over. But it wasn't. Actually, God was about to take what could have been seen as a tragedy and use it to touch many lives, including Parker's. This interview was done by Parker on the Parker Byrd Show. And as you watch this, I want you to think about the fact that what Parker experienced could have ended his life, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. But he did not let the loss of his leg cause him to lose his purpose and his identity as a true son of God. And so as you watch this and see how God is now using Parker, how he is using him to touch lives all over the world, I want you to think about that can be you. So be inspired by this interview. I hope that you are touched by the words. In this interview, I share the depths of my heart, things that I've learned while in ministry, while walking with the Lord, things I've learned about the Lord and about myself. And so I hope that you enjoy this, that you are encouraged, equipped, and empowered to move forward to live a victorious life yourself. God bless you. And if there's anything that our ministry can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. The slides at the very end will give you all the information you need.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Parker Byrd Show here in the Legless Lounge. I am truly honored to sit down today with someone whose life and story have impacted so many people, not just in the world of sport, but in the kingdom of God. Kristi Overton Johnson is a world champion water skier. She is a wife, a mother, and most importantly, she is a follower of Jesus Christ. Kristi has broken many records and dominated her sport for many, many years. But what's even more powerful is how she's used her platform to glorify God in everything she does. She is the founder of Victorious Living Ministry, a speaker, an author, and someone who carries the heart of Jesus into some very dark places, including a lot of prisons. Her faith, perseverance, and obedience to God's call are incredibly inspiring to so many people. We're going to talk about her journey through her life of competition, failure, adoption, motherhood, and how God called her into full-time ministry. Kristi, thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to dive in and let all the people and listeners hear the amazing stuff God's put in your life.
Thank you, Parker.
Of course. Well, let's start at the very beginning. How did you get attracted to water skiing, and what kind of drew you in to that sport?
Well, I was 4 years old when I started water skiing, and I don't know that I had a choice. I can't remember that far back, but my father was an avid water skier. We would call him today a weekend wallier. Like he just out there tearing it up, and so he loved it, and it's what our family did, and with other families, and it was a very wholesome thing. And I'm sure that I wanted to ski. I don't remember anything negative about those experiences. Only thing I can think back is the excitement of always learning something new. Mm-hmm. because you could go from, behind the boat to crossing the waves, from 2 skis to 1 skis to learning different tricks. And so I caught the bug very early, started competing at 5, and never had to be forced to ski again.
Yeah, that's awesome. You held the world record in the women's slalom for over a decade. That's pretty impressive. What was your mindset during those, peak performances and all the competitions you did?
Yeah, so my career was really blessed. I mean, even from the time I was 5 years old, I was finding myself at the top. And one thing that my father always taught me is you're not skiing against other people. He taught me not to compare very, very early. He's like, you are skiing against yourself. And so just always go out there and be the best version of yourself. And so that was my motivation all those years. And there were seasons where it was more difficult than others. I mean, obviously I didn't win everything, but when I didn't win, I was right back on the water wanting, not because I had lost, but because I knew I had not done my best. And there were moments where, even in those seasons where I was winning most everything, I was still motivating myself because I knew I hadn't reached my pinnacle. And so there were decades, there was at least a decade where I was winning most everything. And it was amazing. I held the world record for 18 years. But many of those years at the end were after I retired. And what was really unique about that is it continued to open platforms for me to go as a speaker. You know all too well that what we do or what we've experienced can become our identity to people. That's difficult sometimes, but it also is something that, if used properly, can help a lot of people. And I've seen you do that. And so having that world record for that long, it's something that kind of catches people's attention, because it is amazing, even to me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, probably, many of those years I wasn't even skiing. I wasn't even getting near a lake. And to be able to still be called the world record holder and have those opportunities to go into places and touch people's lives was what's so cool about it.
I think it's so powerful how Mr. Parker Overton, installed at you at a very young age not to compare, because, for many athletes out there, that can be really the death of their careers. And, as people say, comparison is the thief of all joy. So that's awesome how he installed. I think many athletes could probably learn from that. But can you share some of your greatest victories, and also some of your greatest failures through your skiing career?
Well, let me start with the failures. I can remember.
For some reason, you can probably remember those a little more.
There's a couple that really stick in my mind, and both of them were world championships titles, so world championship competitions. One was in France, and I cannot remember. I think it was 95. And I skied so good there. I was the first woman ever to run a certain line length in the slalom competition. The crowd was going nuts. And then my run was disqualified because of a driver error. And what was so hurtful in that is I was skiing so well. The time was 1/100th of a second out of tolerance. And I mean, the boat driver actually, it was like he just looked like he was full of shame, and then he wept.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Oh, this is bad. But for me, what I did internally, instead of harnessing all those emotions, I let them get the best of me. It wasn't that I was angry, I was disappointed, but it was like, I'm going to go back and run this thing, and I'm going to show them that I can do this again.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in the present. I was like ahead of myself. And so that was a real big failure. I lost that Worlds. I should have won it. I ended up getting second. But that run, I should have run it again, or I at least should have done enough that would have easily been the win. But I caused myself to stumble because of my mind. And then there was another Worlds in Italy. I won in 99 in Milan. And then we went back, and It was in Ricetta, right outside of Milan. And I should have won that one. I was skiing so good. But instead of, I discounted the competition. That one, I held myself back. And I was like, only go and do so-and-so, this amount of run.
Right.
Because the girl coming after me, she had never even come close to it. So I was like, oh, you got so-and-so behind you. She'll never run that much. So just go play it safe. She went out there and blew it up.
Oh.
Ran, like, almost broke my world record.
Yeah.
And I sat there. And so both of those competitions, I lost. And there's so many things like that in life that we could sit there and sulk, but at the end of the day, it was our stinking thinking. It was, we held ourselves back.
That's the truth.
We discounted the competition. And if I had just taken my dad's advice and just gone out and done what I was supposed to do. So those are two failures that really stick with me.
Yeah.
One of the victories, there were some very, very special, but the World Championships in '99, where I did win in Milan, was very special because I only won one World Championship title, but I should have won about 5 or 6. And so that one was special because I finally won it, but I won it in a runoff. And in that moment, when I was in the water in a tie, and then you had to go out and try again, I was so upset with myself. I felt like a failure. I was hearing all these voices of failure in my head. And in that moment, I heard my father's voice from the sidelines. And he was yelling out from way across the lake. I looked over. There was literally 10,000 plus people. And there's my dad in the water yelling out with his southern twang, "You can do it, baby." And that moment will forever stick with me because it was my father's voice that gave me the courage. He reminded me who I was. And, you know, in life we have the opportunity to listen to the voice of the enemy that is very loud. It's loud out here, but it's also very loud in here.
Yeah.
Or we can listen to the voice of our Father. In this case, it was my earthly father, but in life also it's our heavenly Father. And so I found the courage to get back up. I laid the emotions aside, and I took it one buoy at a time and came home the victor. But I've been able to take that story into prisons all over because my dad was yelling out, "Get up, and you can do it, baby. You can do it, baby." And I have taken that picture and those words with me everywhere that I've gone.
That is awesome. Isn't it crazy how, like, while we're in college, because I'm the exact same way to whenever I'm up at the plate, especially like in high school, and it's kind of hard with 7,000. You had 10,000, but I still can hear my dad's voice every single time, and that's it. I don't know if it's internal or if he's actually saying it, but that's like the only thing I hear when I'm up at the plate, so that's crazy. And you've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but what is the biggest lesson you've learned from all your failures and just being an athlete in general?
So in skiing, we had a phrase that most people use when you're ready for the boat to go, the boat driver to put the throttle down, you would say, "Hit it." And for 35 years, I had to keep saying those two words over and over when I didn't feel like it. After terrible crashes, even after victories, you had to go back out and motivate yourself to go back. And I tell people, in those 35 years, I skied. Every day I skied, I fell. But in the midst of those falls and failures, I became a world champion and had victory despite the imperfections, despite the failures, because of perseverance, because I refused to say I quit it and I continued to say I hit it. And in water skiing, you know, you were connected as a skier. You had to have a power source. And it was what I was connected to really made a difference. And I didn't connect to a John boat. I didn't connect to a jet ski or a fishing boat, as wonderful as they can be. I needed a ski boat. And that taught me lessons of perseverance, lessons of what am I connected to, lessons of when I'm in the water, what am I going to do with that failure? Am I going to let it overcome me, or am I going to learn from it and use it as a catalyst to move forward and to help others not make those same mistakes?
Yeah. While you're competing, how did your relationship with God, kind of shape your identity? How do you allow that to shape your identity? Because rather than being identified as the world champion? How did your relationship with God help shape your identity?
So it's an interesting question. I'm pretty hard on myself. So if I compare myself, which I know we shouldn't, where I am now to where I was then spiritually was not even close. It was for me, I had God in church and my prayers when I would hit the water, Lord, help me, keep me safe. Not help me to win. That wasn't, at least I don't remember it being a prayer of mine. Of course, I wanted to win, but it was keep it fair for people, help me to do my best, keep us safe, all of us safe. But I did not, I didn't tap into that relation. I didn't really have a relationship. I had a belief. And it was later in my career when I was just about to retire where I realized this amazing platform. For me, my relationship with God went as far as to say, God, on ESPN, I give God the glory for this win.
Right, yeah.
A lot of athletes do that. And I meant that sincerely, not because he had helped me win, but because I knew apart from him, I didn't even have breath. But I did not have a relationship. And it was really when I went through many trials, nothing like you have gone through, but life-threatening things with bowel obstructions, neck fusions, pelvic reconstructions, and things where I was taken out of Kristi, the skier role, and had to realize, okay, apart from skiing, apart from baseball, in your case, who am I?
Yeah.
And whose am I? And do I have purpose outside of running around little red balls? So I wish I could say I was deep in my faith at that time, but I didn't know about my identity. I didn't know I was anything more than a skier, and it's taken a long time to learn that.
It took me until my accident to realize that sport is just what I do. It's not really who I am.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes fall into that trap, especially because they don't know their identity in Christ. And even though I was still pretty young, I was so addicted to the game, and I feel like a lot of athletes out there are, just because they're competitors and they want to win. And but it can be really easy to get caught up in that identity, and it didn't take me until I got into my accident to realize, life is much more than just a game of baseball. It's just a little white ball with some stitches on it,
but it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. But my favorite saying now, and I used to hate when people said this, but it's just a game. And I just remind myself all the time, it's just a game. Don't get wrapped up in it. But whenever, high school Parker, before accident, if somebody said that to me, I'm like, man, it's more than just a game. But it's definitely easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I want to take a quick second and thank today's sponsor, the Children's Health Services. Children's Health Services understands the importance of your child's well-being from the day your child was born in the hospital. Children's Health Service has a location on Arlington Boulevard and has a brand new location on 10th Street. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Children's Health Services, for the best providers in the game. Thank you guys so much, and back to the episode.
Yeah.
But what inspired you to launch Victorious Living, and how did that vision first take shape?
Okay, so Victorious Living is our prison outreach to prisoners across all of the United States and even internationally. And it came very unexpectedly. The 10 years prior to the moment that I went into my first prison, I was running a nonprofit called In His Wakes. And that's a water sports outreach. We introduce at-risk children, and now it's expanded to people in prison and people in recovery and women in sex trafficking recovery homes. We introduce them to the life-changing power of Jesus through water sports. And I was very busy doing that ministry and that outreach, and it was very fulfilling. But I was exhausting myself because I was doing everything in my strength. So here comes 2013, and I get a letter from a boat driver that is incarcerated. This boat driver was a friend of mine. His name was Bill, and he was drove on the pro circuits, X Games, Masters, Worlds, all that kind of stuff. And so Bill was arrested and sent away for 15 years. And like everybody in our sport, I just, we forgot about him. And 7 years later, he reaches out to me. And I felt, I knew it wasn't indigestion, but something turning in my heart and my stomach, like I should go visit him. And I went, and when I was there, I saw a whole world that I had never thought about. And I saw families in that reception room. And it might sound strange, but I felt like the Lord was speaking to me very clearly. And like you said, out of thousands of voices, you know your Father's voice. I knew it in Italy, out in the middle of a lake when I was down in Mussolini's lake. You could hear your Father's voice in the middle of all that screaming noise. I could hear my Father's voice, my Heavenly Father's, and I knew it was Him. And so I left there. I learned very quickly that all I had to do is give God my yes, because I didn't know what I was doing. Unlike the water sports ministry, I had no connections. I had no name. Couldn't go walk up to a prison. Hi, I'm Kristi Overton, world champion. Can you let me in? They would have said, no. Who? Skiing? What? So I was a legend in my own mind in that sport. So anyway, God opened up miraculous doors. And what was interesting is 2 years prior to that visit, He had put on my heart to do this magazine. And this magazine, which you have been in, Cliff's been in, and many others from our town, I just knew I was supposed to tell people's God stories. Their stories of faith and trials and overcoming things with God, that it's not over. You have something so life-changing like your accident. It's not over, and you're proof because you've allowed God to take it. And use it. Well, I knew I was supposed to tell those type of stories and had no idea it would be cartel leaders that would now be some of my best friends, former cartel leaders, former murderers, former rapists, it's crazy. The people that God uses and He changes their life. Well, He had already prepared this magazine 2 years before I even went into prison. So I was obedient at that step. And then all of a sudden, when I said, yes, I'll go, a week or so later, I get a call from the Department of Corrections who somehow got the magazine. I don't know how. They called me and they said, we want this piece in every unit in Florida. And then it spread from there. A week later, I'm getting calls from Texas, calls from Florida. Hey, we hear you speak in prisons, and we want you to come be our platform speaker. I'd never been in a prison except for to visit my friend Bill. Had never told anybody. And today it is grown into to be something that is so beyond my imagination. It can only be credited to God because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Is there still like encounterments that you have on a daily basis that you're like, this is still my calling, this is what God called me to do?
Every day. You're going to make me cry. 2 days ago, you get tired, it's a heavy work, and sometimes we make it heavier because we do so much especially when you're competitive and you're type A and you're like, I can go perform and I can make it happen. And to learn that balance. The other day I had a fleeting thought. I never have this thought very often, but I was like, you know what? I could just not do this.
Yeah.
I could just go sit on the beach. And then I stood up and I said, I was in my kitchen talking out loud to myself. I said, but then I'd miss it. I'd miss it. And that day, our team sends us little messages that we get. We get thousands and thousands of letters. We get not text, but emails and digital messages from, we minister to millions of incarcerated people a year. And it was these words, do not quit, Miss Kristi. This is changing my life.
That's awesome.
Letter after letter, you see the fruit. Yeah. You hear the testimonies. You meet them. And you see the life change that the world has said can never happen, that these are absolutely worthless people. So anyway.
Yeah, and I've had kind of firsthand experience because my mom writes the letters. And
yeah, that's right.
There's been stories that she's just like, Parker, you have to read this. Like, this is life-changing right here. And she's like, these people are just broken and they don't know where to go. And then they reach out to you guys and, you just shared a little bit of God's presence and God's light, and it can full 180 change people from former cartels and now just, glorious people of God. So it's awesome. But what are some of the most powerful stories that you've seen through Victorious Living? Which I'm sure it's every single.
It's every day.
Yeah, it's an everyday
But I think
thing.
for me, it's the people I get to work with every day. It's a hodgepodge of people. People who were incarcerated, homeless just 7 years ago, addicted to meth. These were ladies that had lost their children, that are now trauma-informed care counselors, leaders. They're on the national substance use disorder committees. They are ministering in ways that they never dreamed. They are restored. We've got people that have never had a speeding ticket, that have never probably even cussed. And, former pastors who none of us had ever thought about what we're doing. If they had, they were incarcerated, said, I'll never go back here. And God has brought them back. And, the people that I roll with now, like JC, that it's been interesting. I've learned so much, even from his perspective, when we walk in restaurants, step on a plane, and like he said, in Southwest, where you could pick any seat.
Yeah.
No one will even sit by him.
Yeah.
And because they're scared of him by the way he looks. And so I'm learning, like God, to judge people, the heart and not the look.
Yeah.
So I'm learning so much from the people that I get to work with, and to see how God brought all of these people are using these different gifts and talents, because I was always an individual sport person. And, you were on a team, but when you stepped at the plate, you still had to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I had a team, but when I stepped out on the water, I had to make it happen. No one was going to run the course but me, and no one was going to hit the homer or catch the ball but you. So it's taken the pressure off me, and realizing and learning how to work as a team.
Yeah. I have a question. It's more just kind of my personal curiosity, but do you guys have a next step guide for whenever they get out of prison, and how does that relationship piece work?
Yeah, so we connect. We are in jails and in prisons. So we connect with the incarcerated through our magazine and through digital formats. So it kind of looks like an iPad. Incarcerated people, especially after 2020, they shut down visitations and a lot of programming, gave everybody tablets to connect with the outside world, good and bad. But we have programming, like you have a podcast. You've been interviewed on our podcast, and so you're on our broadcast. So we connect with them that way, but then through those connections, we let them know about resources that are available to them. And as they and their family reach out to us, we've got pastors on staff. We're able to connect them with, like Hope is Alive is one of our national partners, and they're also local here. We connect with national partners where, hey, you're getting out, call Hope is Alive, because they're a recovery home that you can live there for a year to 2 years, and you can be transformed there. We connect them with people that are going to give them employment, Bibles, churches, things like that. And
That's
so
awesome.
There's so much more we could do in that area, but I feel like my role is to be a connector.
That's awesome. Yeah, because this is crazy. This is happening right now because I'm actually in the works of starting a nonprofit too. And what I want it to be is not really like the Challenge Athletes Foundation, which has helped me so much. And they are the ones that provide all the grants and all the resources and all the equipment for me to get back out on the field. But I want my nonprofit to really be more of the connecting. So whenever someone loses a limb or gets paralyzed or whatever it may be, we can send like a care package. And this is just kind of the vision part of it, but send a care package out there and say, hey, I'm sorry this happened, obviously, but God's called you to do so much more, and your life isn't over. It's just getting started. The possibilities now are so much more that you can even imagine. And connect them to people like the Challenge Athletes Foundation and say, hey, these are my good friends, Bob Babbitt and the Challenge Athletes Foundation. And there's so many more foundations out there, but they're just ones that have kind of worked with me and say, hey, this is the people you need to reach out to in order to get equipment, wheelchairs, whatever it may be, to get back into the game of sport, because it's not just a luxury. Sport can bring so much of a lifestyle, and it's a way that people, I know for me at least, whenever I got in my accident afterwards, sport was my motivator. It was the reason why I got up, went to physical therapy, try to get back out into the field. So it's that motivational piece for so many people to get back into the game of life. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing what I want to do, and we're going to name it Limitless with Limbittless. So it's going to be awesome, and God's going to probably use that to inspire so many people and impact so many people. So
I see you coming along. From what I've seen you in all these years is you're the first to reach out to someone. You're the first to go because you know what they feel like. And so you and your family are able to wrap your arms and then walk with that person and hand them off here and here. Not hand them off, but you know what I'm saying. Connect them. And that's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
And that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, I want to take a second to thank another sponsor of today's podcast, Shimmer Boutique. Shimmer has some of the coolest and top-notch brands out there, including Yeti, Pimp Shrimp, Local Boy, and have a brand new website that has already launched, and anything purchased over $100 gets free shipping. So make sure you guys go and check that out. They have a location in Greenville, Winterville, Jacksonville, and a new online website at shimmerboutiqueonline.com. Thank you, Shimmer, and back to the episode. Kristi, what was the biggest challenge in starting your ministry and, sustainable, and what were all the challenges in starting all that?
Ooh, we could talk for hours. Well, for me, it was not understanding. I've run this a lot of tears on my knees, which has been good. It's amazing where it is to have two nonprofits that have been sustainable. I cannot take the credit. Because, like I said, half the time I've not known what I'm doing, and I've done so much of it wrong, but I've done it with integrity and a motive that wasn't about me but about others. And so I think that is what God has taken and used. But the challenge came because I didn't understand so much. I didn't understand the role of a board. So I would just reach out and say, hey, you're my best friend. And you're breathing and you have a warm body. Will you come be on this team? Will you be of this board? And none of us knew what we were doing. Like, I didn't have, there's so much it's a business. It's a ministry, but you got to raise money. You got to run it like a business. You run it with faith in your heart, but you got to be accountable. And so what is really hindered it a lot of times is, I think, I've made mistakes I didn't have to because I rushed ahead in excitement instead of praying a little more. And I got reprimanded by that in my prayer time this morning. Even now, it's my hardest thing because I get excited. Yeah. I attach to people very quickly, like, me and Parker, we can go change the world together. Right, yeah. And it's like, no, I've got this thing for you to do here. Yeah. And so that would be my advice for you is you don't have to go super fast, go in step with him, but also choose wisely who's on the journey with you. And learn as much as you can from people who've already made the mistakes. And I can share a bunch with you over coffee or whatever you like to drink.
Yeah. With you doing kind of an individual sport, like the picking the board process, was that more difficult for you to build a team around you rather than just, doing it yourself? Because like you said, you get so excited and eager. Like, was that kind of a hard process?
It was very difficult is what I loathe every day. In some ways, I'm starting to rejoice and celebrate this journey that I had to hire a life coach for a couple of years. It's very expensive. and it was hard work, and I would literally almost feel sick to my stomach. And it was all to help me become a leader. And what he said, he goes, all these years you've been on the water by yourself. He goes, now it's like you're the coach of a soccer team or of a baseball team. And you're having to, but he used soccer. He says, and you're having to work the whole team down onto the same goal. So you got to help them understand where they're going. And that's been difficult. He's like, they can't just read your mind. And I have a team that will follow me to the ends of the earth because they trust me. And that was earned. And there's love there and respect there on both parts. So I have to be very careful how and where I lead them. And because they'll do anything I ask. And I don't mean that to sound weird, but I just realize that Lord has just shown me walk very carefully. And I have led people often in areas where we didn't have to go and work ourselves to death if I had just gone a little bit slower. But yeah, every day, my dad asked me in 2020 when we came back, I moved to Florida when I was 18, after I graduated from Rose High, and went to University of Central Florida, one of our ECU competitors, but I do wear purple, not yellow. But
beautiful campus though.
I loved UC. I've loved my time there, but I was actually on a water ski scholarship there, and I moved to Orlando to be around the water sports community. But when I came back in 2020, my dad looked at me and he said, I hear how wonderful this ministry is, but if you get T-boned, he calls it the T-bone factor. It means if you get hit by the car, hit by the boat, what's going to happen to this ministry? And I realized it would be completely gone. And so even for you, you don't want this to be about Parker Byrd. You don't want this to be about Kristi Overton, because if it's built on us, when we're gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
You didn't go through what you went through for it to end with you. And I have not shed these tears and gone through even all the physical pain you go through. I'm sitting here now, everything hurts because of what I went through on that water. But that water and everything I learned in sports made me who I am today. And what the Lord showed me years ago, he says the same tenacity that it took to be a world champion is what it's going to take to do what I've called you to do. What did that take? That took isolation. It took choosing wisely who I associated with, where I trained, you become who you hang out with. My team was very small and it was very selective. It meant getting out when it was cold and the conditions were insurmountable, doing it when it hurt and you didn't want to do it, and when people are yelling, fall off, and want to see you crash. You defy the odds, and that's what it takes to do what God's called you to do, and that's what it's going to take. What it took for you to get walking again, it's that hard, Parker. But
that's awesome.
He does immeasurably more than you can ever hope for or imagine. And there's a key part, you've already quoted that verse, Ephesians 3:20, through the power of God at work in you. We leave that off. We're like, God can do anything. No, it's through the power of God at work within you. And if we're not allowing him to work through us and we're not relying on his strength, our ministries just become outreaches doing good things. They're not agents of change and really life for people. Your ministry is going to be life for people who have nearly died, who think their life is over. You get to be a vessel of life. And that's what I get to do, deliver
Isaiah
life.
41.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You've written books, led outreach in prisons and mentored many others. What's kept you grounded through it all?
Realizing that first of all, it's my faith, but being grateful. For me, realizing all those years, I had something I took for granted. I had parents that, praise God, I still have to this day, that are pouring in. But they would bring in coaches. I always had somebody pouring into my life. And I want to make sure others have that. And it doesn't take much. Sometimes it's just a look. It's a smile. I remember this guy in prison. He's an older man, and that was what was shocking me when I started going into prisons. You see people in the wheelchairs and with the walkers that are 80 years old that have been there since they were 20.
Okay.
And they're dying there. And I turned around, this older man, he's probably 75, 80, and I just looked at him, and out of my mouth came, "You're going to make it. You're okay." I didn't know where that, it just, to me, it was just words. But
so
next
much
time I
more.
went in that unit, a year later, that man singled me out. He said, "I was at the end, and I had no life left in me. And those words gave me the strength to get through one more day, and then one more day."
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what keeps me going, is to know, I forgot what the question was for a second, but that's what keeps me going. It's gratitude and realizing that too much is given. God has given me so much. Much is required. And this is my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said a few days ago when I thought, I don't have to do this. No, I don't. But yes, I do. Because if I want to live a life of purpose, and I want to be content, and I want to have peace, and I want to have joy, I've got to do what I've been called to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live apart from that. If I sat on a beach in a rocking chair, which our family's been blessed, I might could go do that
Yeah.
and live out my days. I would be the most miserable person on the face of the earth because I'm not walking in my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rocking in some sand and it's sinking.
That's awesome. What's one, misconception that people just have about prisoners and inmates that you would like just to break?
That they're bad people. They're scary people. That they're unforgivable people, unredeemable people. Are there people in there that are done horrible things? Yes. Are there evil people that are led by evil? Yes. But a majority of the people there are people who, there's a why behind their what. Mm-hmm. And the why is something that's unimaginable. Some people experience the why and they have the support system and they're able to move forward. Others experience the traumas, like this man, raped at 4 years old, drowned at 4 years old repeatedly, almost daily, by his family member. Told to jump in the deep end of the pool. My dad would catch me. His uncle would let him drown for fun in a public pool.
That's insane.
And that created a hardness in him that he hated people. He didn't trust people. He wanted to hurt people because at age 4, that's all he ever knew. And something happens up here. And we have the opportunity to renew this up here with God's love and God's word and remind people who they are and who they aren't. And God can change people.
Yeah.
Programs can't.
That's right.
But for a little while. But God with programs changes everything.
Forever. That's awesome. You and Tim, a little change of direction here, but you and Tim chose the route.
Now, who's Tim?
Your lovely husband. Y'all chose the route of adoption.
Yeah.
And what led you guys to that decision, and how did your faith play a role in that?
Okay, so adoption started swirling around my head when I was probably 8 or 9.
Well,
I
that's
saw
awesome.
myself having an orphanage.
That's awesome.
And it's interesting because an orphan is a person who has no father or mother. They're a person that's been abandoned. And really, my ministry are to orphans. They're just grown men and women incarcerated. But I also knew that I wanted to adopt. And we had a biological son, Ty, who was the love of our life. But yet I just knew that this was a journey I wanted to go on. And it's a journey that really represents how God brings us into his family. He chooses those that have been discarded, those that are otherwise would be isolated and forgotten. He brings us in and gives us family. And it's a beautiful thing to be chosen. And so I had competed in Russia. I had some Russian friends, and I just really felt drawn to Eastern Europe and started the process. It was the most difficult process I've ever been through because, my
that's saying
dad,
a lot.
my dad has a lot of contacts, but he couldn't call anybody. He couldn't. I mean, what we do in our family say, Daddy, can you call? Can you help move this permit along? Can you do this? Can you call this doctor? And he'll have us in by that afternoon.
Your dad reminds me a lot of my grandpa because we're from the small town of Laurinburg, and he knows everybody.
He knows everybody,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing. We try not to take advantage of it, but hey,
When
you can, you're stupid. Even my son the other day, you're stupid not to use that. So anyway, but I had to learn. It took 1.5 years for that process. When I watched in that process, God changed Tim's heart, because at first it was my idea. And I learned through that I didn't want to go force my husband to do something he didn't want to do. So I just prayed about it, and I watched God change him, and we came into alignment. But he came back to me, goes, let's not just adopt one, let's adopt two.
That's awesome.
So you got to be careful what you pray for. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because I knew I wanted a boy and a girl. And we started that process, and all the way until we were in Russia, we were told there wasn't a little girl for us. And the night before, I felt the Lord saying, ask one more time. Don't give up. Faith moves mountains. And so that next day, I asked again, and we were going back to America. And all of a sudden, this book flopped open. This lady opens up and says, a little girl has suddenly appeared.
That is crazy.
And we got to meet her that afternoon. Her name's, it was Veronica, and we've named her Ivy Veronica. Nika means victorious one.
Wow.
And we actually we met her, we left them, and we were told we'd be back in 2 weeks. 5 months later, we were still waiting. Our children were put back on a registry to be adopted by other people. We were told we couldn't have them. And I saw that process, that was something that my daddy couldn't fix. I couldn't fix. The only thing I could do was stay in faith. And faith moved mountains, made her suddenly appeared and brought them home. And adoption it's shown me a love that I never would have understood. I have a biological child. I have 2 adopted children, and I have also a Ukrainian daughter that we have fostered, I guess you would say, since 2020. And in all those relationships, I have experienced the depth of a love that you can have for someone and know that it's real. And it's the kind of love, I think, that pleases God.
What advice would you give to parents who were considering adoption?
I would say it's not for everybody, but if it's on your heart, don't let all the fears stop you. I've got friends that they didn't have the money, but God provided the money. It's not easy, but if it's God ordained, it's worth it.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And it's not about being a hero for the kid.
Yeah.
It's about what you learn in the process.
Because I bet you've learned so much just through.
I've been blessed.
Oh, that's
I'm the one that's blessed. Just like the ministry. It's like, oh, you're so good. You go in and you visit prisoners. No. I go in today at 1 o'clock to PCDC, the Pitt County Detention Center, not because I want to go be something good to those men, but because that is my safe space. That is where I get to leave the phone out. That is where those men and I sit and we dive in the Word of God together, and we laugh, and we have fellowship, and it's the highlight of my week. It's a blessing to me.
Yeah, it fulfills you probably more than you can even
exactly.
imagine.
Yeah.
How has motherhood, especially through adoption, changed the way you've seen God's love?
Well, He chooses us. He brings us into a family with a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
And things that we were maybe passed on to us from the world that we've lived in. But love covers that. And He is so patient with us. And I've had to learn that through our experience. And then the joy that I've seen, especially with my daughter, and if she was here, I would say this to her too. I mean, because she knows it. She was a fighter when she came. She was isolated. She was locked up in a room. She would slap me across the face. Even they described her as a wild animal in court. I didn't know that. It wasn't until later when I got home with her and read the transcription that I understood that. Like, I didn't know she didn't speak a language. Yeah. She spoke something, but I didn't know. She didn't even know her name. And the time that we spent, it was hard. She'd slap me across the face. She would scream. She would yell. And Dalton, he was adopted too, but he'd run around and he just wanted to please me. Yeah. And then, my other son, Ty, was going through stuff because 2 kids are running around. Right, yeah. It was crazyville around in that house. But to watch what persistent love, and I didn't do everything right. Man, I had some really big failure moments, and we can laugh about them now. But my daughter is so beautiful, and she is such a godly girl. And God has harnessed that tenacity in her, and God never gave up, and God doesn't give up on us. Mm-hmm. He always showed me who she was, and so we could work through those difficult moments, and God sees who we are. And when we're slapping him in the face and we're doing it, when we're yelling, and we may not be verbalizing it, but we're doing our thing, 100%. He sticks with us and rejoices and is so proud of our transformation.
Yeah, that's amazing. What does victorious living mean to you now, and what does it mean to you now, kind of off of the water and in everyday life now?
So a lot of people think victorious living might mean you're standing on a podium with a trophy, and that is a fun victory. But for the reason that name is chosen is because Romans 8:37 describes all the things, all the hardships that Paul went through. Persecution, shipwrecks, beatings, death, all these things. But it says, despite all these things, an overwhelming victory is ours through Christ. Despite losing your leg, despite your dreams being shattered, despite body pain or losing a loved one or a parent or whatever it is, despite being persecuted for your faith, an overwhelming victory is yours, despite being incarcerated and being labeled a murderer. An overwhelming victory is yours through Christ Jesus. That you can be productive no matter what has happened. You can be fruitful. You can be used, and your life has purpose no matter what. Mm-hmm. And your place and your space and your events and the things that have happened do not have to determine and define you. You can be victorious wherever you are, and victory is having peace and purpose and contentment and joy.
What a perfect name. Yeah. That's awesome. Where do you feel that God's calling to you next?
Well, I think there's still a lot of work to do in victorious living, laying a foundation that lasts beyond me. I know that He's continuing to call me not to just the prisoner, but to the corrections community. Ministering to the staff, the officers, the wardens. It's an industry, a occupation, highest PTSD rate, highest suicide rate, highest abuse, all those things, even higher than military. So I know that we're called to do a work there. I don't exactly know what it looks like yet. I'm letting it unfold. Right. And God also to be an agent of change in corrections. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I see in the future, but right now I know I got a lot of work to do leading.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, for the listeners out there, how can they support and, get involved with your ministry?
You can go to victoriouslivingministries.com or .org or both, I think. And I think it's vlmin.org if you want to do it. MIN if you want to do it quickly. But yeah, they can go there. They can, our office is here at the Hartford ENC building, learn more about what we do. There's volunteer opportunities like what your mom does in a writing ministry. We need support financially and sending the magazine, going on these prison tours, being on these broadcasts, these tablets. It's not cheap. And there's millions of people that we're ministering to. You can also, we're having a revival of hope in the fall on September 12th and 13th on Fire Tower Road, right where the Fire Tower is.
Let's go.
Right across from Champions Gym.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have our tent there like we did before, and we have incredible speakers coming, including Rabbi Jason Sobel, who was with, he's on The Chosen spiritual advisory team, the hit TV series.
Yeah.
He's got his own TV show, The Chosen Unveiled. He's coming. We have incredible Matt Manzari, who has a very similar experience to you as a professional athlete, but he was electrocuted. 12,000 volts of electricity went through, and he should have died. He should not be here.
Yeah.
But his ministry is called Beyond the Burn. And he helps
that's
helps people
incredible.
move past their burn, because we all have it. He's going to be doing a workshop helping us discover our purpose, our story, how our story fits into God's story. It's also going to be speaking. I'll be speaking. We've got a whole group of local people that you can come get a glimpse of what we do in prison. Because what we do under that tent, the ministry we do, is what we do in prisons all across America. Yeah. So you can come experience it for yourself, September 12th and 13th.
That's a lot of fun for those that want to go, because I've been to a couple now, I think, back-to-back years, and it's nothing but fun and great stories, too.
Yeah, I think you've been all 3 years. You've been a part of it. Yeah, you went to Daryl Strawberry's, and you went out to the park. And
Daryl Strawberry, that was the day, actually.
You had surgery that day.
I did. Well, I mean, I couldn't miss it, though, honestly, because that was, Daryl Strawberry was the reason I got, well, not the reason, but his testimony led me to get saved when I was in 9th grade. And so I did have my last surgery that day. I actually got my skin grafts.
You came in with a bag.
I did. Came in with a
drainage bag.
Yeah. Got a drainage bag, got my skin grafts. My leg was all wrapped up because actually on the way there, my leg started bleeding pretty bad. And so we had to go get it wrapped up again. So, but I couldn't miss it to save the world. And it was an incredible time. And
you know what my son did, bless his heart?
What did he do?
He was mortified. He was in charge of parking.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And my dad had said, do not let anybody come drive over here. Well, you and your dad drive up, and he didn't know you. And I'd never met you either, and he didn't know your story. And he was pointing you that way, and your dad's like, I need to drop him off. And my son's like, so afraid of my father. He was like, no, you got to go park over there. And
my grandpa said nothing but over there.
And your dad's like, well, how's he going to get there? And my son, he didn't mean it. He's like, walk. And your dad's like, his legs cut on whatever he said. And these other baseball players were there standing. He goes, dude, don't you know who it is? Like, no, I didn't know. And he's like, Mom.
Because they were helping with parking that day, too.
Yeah, he's like, Mom, awesome. I told the guy that just had lost his leg that he could walk. So
that's funny.
You know, which you could have been offended. It is funny how often things happen in life, and people are clueless and they don't mean it.
Yeah,
and
all the time.
Thank goodness y'all were not people that held on to a grudge.
And then
y'all probably just
shook your head. The humor's the reason why we get through it all, honestly. And there's so many, that's an incredible story, because that sums up my sisters, and all their humor is exactly like that. So, but Kristi, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your wonderful testimony and ministry and your life through adoption. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we went longer than 45 minutes.
We did. I'm sorry.
No. Well, I could talk all day. I got plenty of time. But
awesome.
Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being who you are, a person of perseverance, and how you showed up that day with that bag just shows you're a person that God, you're not going to stop.
Never.
And Satan has thrown some stuff at you.
Well, it only makes you stronger.
It makes you stronger. And thank you for helping others realize that and helping them get up and keep saying, hit it.
Hey, that's my purpose, and I love it. Wouldn't want it any other way. But thank you guys for tuning in. I don't even know what episode this is now. It's been a great journey, but thank you guys so much. Another episode coming your way soon. Make sure you tune in on Pirate Radio TV on YouTube. Here in the Legless Lounge. We'll see you guys soon, and God bless.
Thank you for watching our broadcast. Are you an incarcerated brother or sister who needs encouragement?
Write to us at Victorious Living Correspondence, P.O. Box 2751, Greenville, North Carolina, 27836, or email us at hope@vlmag.org. To view Victorious Living magazine in its entirety, please have your chaplain contact us at 352-478-2098 or email us through our website at vlmag.org. We are happy to provide our Victorious Living magazine free of charge in bulk with or without staples.